So much. And thank you, everybody, for taking some time and hanging out with me and Molly tonight to talk about personal branding. Some of you I know, some of you I don't. So this will be fun. I have a deck. I'm going to share my screen in a second, but a lot of what I'm going to talk about is really things that I want you guys to think about and work through. This isn't just me talking. This is really a workshop, right? So I want to give you guys things to think about. I'm going to tell you everything about how I've done what I've done. And my hope is that you guys can take it and walk away with it and use it as a template to actually get some stuff done and move forward. That being said, this is a really small group. Those of you watching the recording, you're missing out. So if you guys are here and you have some questions, like, stop me. I told Molly I could probably talk for 4 hours right now. I won't, I promise. I will keep us to our allotted time slot, but I want to make this relevant for you guys. So if there's something that you have a question on, stop me. Let's go ahead and make this interactive and as valuable for you as possible. So that being said, let's go ahead. Oh, that being said, let me share my screen. The technical part. This is what happens when I don't have an assistant, Molly. I also didn't put a lot of things on Do Not Disturb, so something's probably going to ring at some inopportune moment. You know, what can go wrong will go wrong. So I want to start a little bit by telling you guys about who I am. You can see my screen, correct, Molly? Just want to make sure. Okay, perfect. My name is Liz Short. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Short Solutions. We are a fractional leadership and consulting company that helps executives and businesses get shit done. We help them optimize their people, their processes, and their technology. My background is 22 plus years in the mortgage industry. I started out in mortgage after adamantly deciding that I didn't know what I wanted to do when I grew up, but I didn't want to do mortgages because that's what my dad did. And I'm sure, as some of you know, you fall into the industry. And so I spent 20 some years in the mortgage industry directly, in operations, in closing, and then I got into project management and technology, most recently running the technology team for the TPO team at Fairway. I was SVP of TPO technology. And so 2 years ago, I made the leap to go out on my own, had a great opportunity at Fairway, but decided to take it to the next level and not just help one company get shit done, but help a whole bunch of companies get shit done. Before this, I was not on social media. One person on this call, Christy, knows me prior to this live, so she can attest. I was not the Liz that you see today on social media 2 years ago. But I did know the power of social media. And for a small entrepreneur like myself with some pretty big goals, I understood the power of leverage that I could have amplifying my voice through video on LinkedIn. So a lot of my story that I'm going to be telling you guys today is going to be talking about how I think about these things or thought about them that I'm going to be telling you to do. And so there will be a lens of this that is about LinkedIn and is about video. I think video applies to everybody. LinkedIn may or may not. It has been a great platform for me, and we'll talk through that. But whether or not you're an entrepreneur building your business, or you're someone that has other goals, maybe finding a new job, maybe recruiting and building a team, I think there's a lot of benefits for personal brand. And I want to spend some time today talking to you about those. And hopefully by the end of this, you'll agree. You're here today, so I'm guessing you agree a little bit already. So let's talk a little bit about my why and in a little bit deeper. As I said, I knew that I wanted to build my brand in the cheapest way possible. And so I made the decision to go all in on the cheapest option that I could, which was social media. I did have some resources that helped me out, and I'll talk through those here in a little bit as well too. I knew that I wanted something that was low cost. I wanted something that would help me build community. I wanted something that would help me stay top of mind with the people that I already know. and build a lead funnel of new people that could come into my community and hopefully into my business. My why for my personal brand today is much of the same things. I use LinkedIn on video on LinkedIn. Let me say that a different way. I use video on LinkedIn specifically, partnered with conferences, referrals, and networking to increase my reach and increase my ROI of all of that, and make sure when you have a really bad problem that you need help with, you remember me because you probably saw me on video within the past week as well too. So a lot of people who see me and I talk to today say, Liz, I could never do what you do. Oh my gosh, you're just out there all the time doing video. I'm not like you. I like to start by telling people I wasn't like me 2 years ago. I was a lurker on social media. I didn't post any videos. I didn't like any videos. Maybe if I saw something I'd liked, I'd send a DM or an Insta message or a text to somebody behind the scenes, but I was not engaging in any way. I wasn't out there networking. I wasn't at conferences. I really just knew the people that were in my direct network, that were vendors or other people that I had worked with in the past. And so I am someone that likes to leverage and anything that I can. And I knew, talking a little bit about what Molly was talking about earlier when we just started, that there was an incredible potential on LinkedIn if I could get over myself and show up on video, because there's not a lot of people doing it on LinkedIn. There's not a lot of people in the mortgage and finance industry doing it on LinkedIn. And there are not a lot of women or women of color doing it on LinkedIn. And I think there is such a need in our industry for these voices to be heard, right? There's a lot of white guys that talk a lot on LinkedIn. I love them. I tell them this to their face, but we need more diverse voices too. And so I hope today I can show you that I am not a special, unique unicorn. This is something that you can do too, because we need to hear your voice as well. I am also an introvert by nature, guys. Okay. So I am not someone that is fueled by hanging out with people. I'm a people person. I can talk, right? But I think a lot of you on this call are people. Yeah, I guess that is what I'm trying to say. Wow, that didn't sound right when it came out. And who can talk, right? A lot of us lead teams. A lot of us can stand up and speak in front of a live audience, maybe with some nerves, but we're confident at it. This is just a new skill and a new tool and a new thing that we have to learn. And so really, for me, once I learned that if I could get over my confidence, or if I could build up my confidence and get over my fears, doing videos lets me be much more of an introvert, because now when I go to conferences, people know me and come up to me. So I don't have to do this weird, awkward, hey, I want to get to know you, right? Or if I do have to go up to someone, I say, hey, I want to get to know you. I'd love you to follow me on LinkedIn. I do videos. I at least have something to talk about. And so it really has allowed me as an introvert, which some people might challenge that I am, but I promise you I am, to seem and have a much more outward focus that's cultivated, that's curated than maybe necessarily people would think. So just some things to think about as we go through this. And if you are saying, oh my gosh, I could never get out on video, I could never do this, never say never, one of my favorite sayings. And just know that I was right there with you. So let's talk a little bit about why you, yes, you need a personal brand. First and foremost, the world has changed in so many ways. The way that we're talking about right now is how you get a job, right? It is not the same way that it was 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, for sure. If you have been impacted during this cycle, you have learned that, right? It is not just about networking with the people you know. It's not as easy for us as it used to be, right? Just to get out there and get a new position. And the world of LinkedIn has really changed a lot in evolution with that. And so first and foremost, I believe that everyone needs a personal brand on LinkedIn in the professional world to put yourself in the driver's seat of where you want to go. Like I said before, in my previous role, I was connected to who I was connected to. I showed up on LinkedIn to change my job if I got a promotion, change my company if I went out there and got a new role, but that was about it. Today, LinkedIn is much more community and networking based, and I'm sure a lot of you are on there and are seeing that. And I really believe that the people who are successful in navigating losing a job and getting a job quickly, or getting that next role that they want instead of the role that they're in, are people who are able to curate a strong personal brand on LinkedIn. So reason number one, it puts you in the driver's seat and puts you in control of where you want to go. Now, the other reason that I think you need a personal brand is it allows you to curate the community that you want to build. I am very me, right? I am very authentic. I am very Liz. And what I have learned is the more that I lean into that in a curated way, right? Like, you're not going to come to my house on a Sunday morning and see me the same way you're going to see me on LinkedIn. But the more that I show up authentically me, and I think this is especially important for women in the financial services industry, right? We're taught to present a certain way, which is like everybody else. But people are drawn to the things that make me Liz, the things that make me different, the things that make me me. This slide is a perfect example. You'll notice I'm wearing pink. All my slide deck is pink. If you look at me on LinkedIn, it is all pink. Pink is not my favorite color. Pink is not a color I have ever in the past embraced or loved. But pink is something, a year into my business, when I had someone help me with my professional branding, told me helps me stand out in the financial services industry. And I'll tell you, you walk into a large conference in pink pants every single time and people start to notice you. And so I leaned into something that made me different, that maybe I fought a long time to not be different with, right? Like, I wasn't the girl that showed up with the pink pen in the meetings, right? I was in all black. I was very much one of the guys, but I am a woman in a male-dominated industry. I do approach these problems differently. And I honestly think the mortgage industry needs more women solving more big problems to get us to where we need to go. And so the more that I'm authentically me, the more I find other people that relate to that if they don't want to do business with me, want to help refer people to do business with me. And so there's just so many reasons and so many benefits for getting out there and showing the professional community who you are, both what you know, what you believe in from a work professional standpoint, and the type of people and things that you care about. And so regardless of your role, regardless of what your needs are, I think there's a lot of value in cultivating a personal brand. Now, the next thing I want to say is the biggest mistake I think people make is they think they can do this by themselves, right? And I will be the first person to say, I do not do any of this alone. Molly and I were laughing, even just to get on this webinar. My husband's down here. He's getting me my headphones. He's setting up my Zoom. He's doing all of these things. But that's just one example. When I went on this journey, I was not confident enough to say, I know what I want to talk about. I know what people want to hear. I know how to edit videos. It was overwhelming. And so I found the right people to support me, to help me along the way and give me confidence. First and foremost, I got my head in the right place, right? I figured out why I was doing it. I really, really had to understand why I was specifically for me getting on video, right? This will be a shock for you to know. I hate the way I look on video. I hate the way I sound on video. I bet if I took a poll, everyone else here would raise their hands and say the same thing. And so people that are on video hate it, right? If you listen to top actors, they will say, I can't even watch a movie that I'm in because I don't like the way I look and sound. And so much of success in personal branding on social media is about figuring out how you can get over yourself and get your head in the game. I think guys have an easier time in it, honestly, and that's why there's a lot of more male talking heads. We as women are conditioned to care a lot about what this looks like, and so it's really hard to not care about what this looks like. I can point out something in every video that I do that I don't like about the way my look. My hair falls over, my necklace is off, my makeup looks silly. What happened with this, right? I've just done it enough that I realize that that's not really what people focus on. And I put out enough content that, gosh, if people want to nitpick me, okay, that's great. But there's just so much value there that I've stopped caring. It doesn't mean that I didn't care. It just means that I worked through it and got to the right point in my head. The next thing I'll say is you have to find accountability. I am someone that was, oh, I love this. Yes, yes, imposter syndrome. That is so great. I love that. And let's talk about that a little bit more, because I totally agree with you. I am somebody that if it had just been me sitting in a room, turning on a phone and hitting record, I would have never hit post at the end of the day. So what I did is I enlisted the help of two people. Number one, I am big on video because I have a resource close to me that could help me level up in video very quickly. My husband, he's an artist, he's creative, his background is in video. And so I was able to leverage that to my benefit. I also have a business partner. This could be a friend, a coworker, a peer for you that I work through all of my content with. And so the three of us together produce all of my social media from beginning to end. And they also provide accountability for me, right? Again, it's not that I'm the one that necessarily is just setting these dates arbitrarily. I'm telling them that I'm committing to these things, asking them for their help, and then asking them to hold me accountable. Accountability doesn't mean perfection, but it does mean learning and trying to do better time over time. And we can talk more about that as we get further in. I think the other thing is outsourcing. So I, again, am very lucky. I create all of my content. So I write all of my scripts. I do all of that. I obviously record everything, but I turn all of the editing over to my husband. It's really hard to look at and hear yourself, right? Now, I do think you have to look and watch everything you do. So the best thing my husband did is he makes me sit down and watch every single video before we post it. It's what gets you over that fear and makes you better as well, too. But I don't sit there and cut up my own video, look at my own face, listen to my own voice. And so if video is something that you are dedicated to doing, I do think that outsourcing is something that you consider long-term in helping you get to the point that you want to be in. So I think that comment brings up a great point of imposter syndrome, right? Because we all have imposter syndrome at anything we do, right? It's really, really hard, especially when we're good at almost everything that we do, to start and learn a new skill and be bad at it, right? A lot of us haven't been bad at things for a really, really, really long time. And so imposter syndrome is a real thing. And so I think the number two things, right? Two things that I've done to counteract imposter syndrome. Number one is get really, really, really clear on my why. Why are you doing this, right? I don't think any of us are out here because we're influencers trying to get sponsored or send people to our Amazon links or be the next whoever influencer, right? And I think there's a lot of things that get in our head that, oh, people think that we just, why would people want to hear me? Well, your why is why you're out there, right? So for me, the reason that I show up twice a week on video, most weeks there should have been a video. Today there wasn't, guys, and I am doing a personal branding workshop. So I mean, there's no perfection, right? We all do the best we can, but I do it because I want to work for myself. I want to build my business. I need leads, and to do that, this is the best way that I've found to consistently build leads. And so because I have this very clear why, because I have proof in the pudding that I've been doing this for 2 years. We pulled my husband into the business. We started doing videos for people. I am very, very, very tied into the why I'm showing up. So every time that voice gets in my head, which, oh my gosh, that voice gets in my head, right? I'm able to go back and remind myself why I'm doing it. I think the other piece to get over that imposter syndrome is that don't do it alone, right? When you have other people in your corner saying, nope, that is a good post, you should write about it. Nope, that is how we want to do it. Nope, that is a great schedule, you should post on that platform that way. It gives you confidence, right? And so finding those people, finding that right team, right? Finding your partners in crime, I think helps you get over that imposter syndrome and get to the next level. So I'm checking my time because I got a lot to cover here, guys. I'm going quick. We can dive deeper into any and all of this as we go, but I want to start getting into the tactical now, right? We're going to start spending some time thinking about you specifically, your audience, and your details that you need to walk out of here with a plan. So the first thing I want you guys to think about is, you know your why. You know why you're doing this. I want to get a job. I need to help my leadership team recruit and build. I'm growing and scaling a company. I'm a salesperson. I want to make more money, whatever that is. I now want you to think about, who are you talking to on social media? Not selling to. This is not who's buying my product or who's hiring me, right? Who are you talking to on social media? So let me give you an example. Maybe this will help. I'm knocking my headphones out of my ears, guys. Maybe this will help you guys as you're thinking. So for me, I help companies and executives get shit done. I help them with technology implementation. I help them with technology implementation go bad. I help them with strategy. I also help them with video, getting onto video, one-time video, and strategy around video. Okay. So I'm B2B. I want to talk to businesses. I want to talk to executives. My first audience that I'm talking to are executives of these companies, right? I have certain sizes that I'm looking at. I don't think that's necessarily important to you in this call, right? But I am targeting executives, C-suite executives of organizations that have problems around getting shit done, that have problems around getting their video, right? So this is the who, this is the what, and the why is because I have solutions for them that they can use, right? And so number one audience for me is going to be C-suite executives and owners who have problems getting the big shit done in their organization, including visibility, okay? My second audience is somewhat the same, but a little bit different. It's going to be those leaders in the organization that I'm actually going to work with, that are actually going to sign the contract, and that actually understand the nuts and bolts of moving things forward. So talking to them in a more tactical manner. It might even be the people that work under them that understand them. So creating content and talking to them. Again, there are people that can get me known, bring me into an organization, long-term help get a contract. My third audience is really my community that I'm building, right? I am looking to build a group of people that are awesome, that love diversity, and want to get shit done. A lot like you on this call, I'm guessing. And so I'm trying to create content around those folks that are looking for leadership, thought leadership, and community around that organization. Your audiences might be, made a few notes here. Let me scroll down and find them. Your audience might be different executives who might take notice of you and you as a thought leader. It might be people who want to get a job potentially at your organization. It could be people that are passionate about rescuing dogs because you're setting up a dog rescue. There's a lot of different lenses you can put on it. I would just recommend spending some time thinking about, who do you want to talk to when you're on these different platforms. Speaking of platforms, we're going to get into some more nitty gritty here. So everybody always wants to know what platform they should be on. And as I said, I am on LinkedIn, but there's a lot of different platforms, right? I don't have this in a slide right here. Molly, I will give you these statistics, and maybe we can email them out to the group afterwards, just so you don't have to write down everything I'm rambling about. If we're talking about users, so let's just talk numbers of users. Facebook is still king, queen, evil, however you want to see it, but Facebook is going to be at the top. They have over 3 billion monthly active users, which is an insane number when you think about it. Right under there is YouTube. They have about 2.5 billion. They're the number 2 platform, a video heavy content platform. They are also the second biggest search engine after Google. So a lot of interesting things about YouTube, because they're not just a social media platform. They really are a searchable video education infotainment platform. Just behind that is Instagram, has about 2 billion. TikTok has about 1.75 billion. And then LinkedIn, my favorite platform, number 5 on this list with only 1 billion. We then get to X, which is losing people, old Twitter, about 610 million. Pinterest, which I will talk about, has about 522 million. And then Threads, which is the Instagram meta answer to X, is growing with about 275 million users and about 1 million users joining the platform. So there are a lot of different options out there. My first tip, pick one to start with. One. Don't create content and post on 7 different platforms. All you're doing is alienating your audience that's touching you on different platforms. So figure out what the best first platform is for you, and then master that and add a second one. If you are B2B, if you are looking for a job in an industry that the recruiters and executives are on LinkedIn, I would challenge you to find a better platform than LinkedIn. It is a very targeted audience. It is a very underutilized platform, and there is not a lot of good content on it, which makes it easy to stand out, okay? The inverse of that is a platform like Instagram. It is very heavily used. Everyone is trying to be an influencer on Instagram. It is very aesthetic. The content has to look great. It's very hard to produce content and stand out on that platform. So that is not a platform, unless someone already had a very large Instagram following, that I would recommend people start out focusing and putting a lot of energy into. Now, some other things to think about. Facebook is at the top of the list of numbers, but you notice I'm not sitting here waving a flag for Facebook saying sign up and start building on Facebook. There's some exceptions to that. A lot of people have very big followings and active communities on Facebook. If that's where your people are at, by all means, start there. Facebook already is probably the best platform for building private communities, groups, challenges. So there is a lot of benefit if your people are on Facebook and you're looking for that type of engagement to be on Facebook. TikTok skews younger, like Instagram, but you have the ability to go more viral on TikTok. So if your audience is a younger audience, if you are looking to teach people things, I definitely recommend trying out TikTok as a first platform, because you can be creative, you can teach, and there is the strongest possibility of you going viral, which I don't think that's the point, but it does get your content in front of more people and help grow your audience. Versus Instagram, which is way harder to do that virality, beat the algorithm, and get in front of more people. Now, I want to talk about Pinterest a little bit. I don't necessarily think for most people Pinterest should be their first platform, but I want you to think about Pinterest as a search engine, similar to YouTube, similar to Google. If you have a demographic that skews younger and skews female, Pinterest is a very, very, very active platform, and people are using Pinterest to search for things the same way they are using Google and they are using Instagram. So Pinterest can be a very good strategy in your personal brand to drive people to different platforms. While you guys take a little bit of time and think about this, I'll talk through my platform strategy in a little bit deeper theory to tie these pieces together for you. So as I said, I started on LinkedIn. That was my platform of choice 2 years ago. And I produce content on there explicitly and only, well, you can see I tried everything I told you not to do. I posted the same thing on multiple platforms. I started with all of them, right? But very quickly I realized that wasn't working. I have now rolled out Instagram in addition to LinkedIn. I have a personal Instagram, which I've now started using for my business page. And the goals of my personal Instagram are to take the audience deeper into my personal life, right? So if we think of it as a lead funnel, you're going to connect with me on LinkedIn because you like me, like my content. And then if you want to know more about me, I have a newsletter, but I also have LinkedIn where I share more cultivated personal content. Right now on LinkedIn, I'm trying to do 1 reel a week and share stories. It is my newest platform, so I'm definitely not as consistent, but that is next where I move to. I now have just started Pinterest as my 3rd platform, and I am using that. I'm repurposing content, trying to figure out how to do that, and then start pointing people at blogs, driving them to my LinkedIn, finding other videos. So again, that is phase 3. And now, drum roll please, I am just starting to work on YouTube as my 4th channel. Now, I am someone that really, really likes personal branding, social media, and doing all of this. And I've been doing it for 2 years, and I've just started Pinterest and YouTube. So that is just to kind of give you an idea of the journey and platforms. Again, I think you should all pick one, focus on that. And then once you feel like you've gotten that to the place where it needs to be, you can fold in a second one. A year later, maybe longer. I think it all depends on kind of what your goals and your audiences are. Let's talk now about the second piece when we said we have problems with imposter syndrome. What the hell do you talk about, right? And so I do not just show up every day going, what am I going to post, right? I have what are called content pillars, if you are in the fancy marketing community, that I focus all of my content around. Think of them as categories or lanes that then you can think about different posts that you want to write about. So for me, my content categories center around getting shit done, right? Which is really project execution, timing, goal setting, all of those types of things. My own personal journey using video and personal branding to build my business, and leadership, and my leadership journey, fostering new leaders and being a top voice in leadership. Now, those have evolved over time, and those are also different per content pillar. So on Instagram, or per platform. So on Instagram, my content pillars are It's Me Liz, which talks about me and getting to know more about me, my real life, which focuses on more things that I'm doing in my real life, and behind the scenes, right? Showing kind of like the behind the scenes. That was, of course, behind the scenes of what I'm doing and out there. So I think your content pillars need to focus on who your audience is, what your goals are, and then what do you like to talk about as well too. Leadership doesn't necessarily cleanly fall into exactly every single product that I offer, but I'm so passionate about leadership. I think the world is a better place if we can build better leaders. And so Your content pillars are a blend of, things your audience cares about and things that you're passionate talking about too. Now, I tell people this is where people get it wrong, right? They think they need to say what their goal is, right? So your content pillar isn't getting a job. Your content pillar isn't getting new leads. Your content pillar isn't, growing my business. It is the things that support those goals, right? So if I was looking to find a new job, one of my content pillars would probably be it's Liz content pillar, where I told stories about my past, right? To tell stories of triumph when I overcome obstacles, right? We're not crap talking, we're talking about personal growth stories, especially if we're in leadership and trying to get in leadership roles, maybe stories about me as a young manager, how I've grown, looking back on it now. I think that's definitely a great content pillar. I think a second content pillar, again, this is an example if I was trying to find a new role, is I'm a subject matter expert in, right? And so I wouldn't necessarily frame it as that. Let's say I'm in closing and I want to get a job as a SVP of closing somewhere. I would craft content around a particular topic. Maybe if it's closing, e-closing, right? I would become an e-closing expert. I would talk about e-closing all the time, news about e-closing, things to think about with e-closing, experiences with e-closing, right? What's your little niche that gets you to be able to be talked about all the time as the person that is creating the content? The nichier, the better here, right? Like, don't talk about rates. Don't talk about housing shortages. Don't talk about the things that everybody else is talking about. What's your angle? What's your take on the topic of the day? And how can you write content about that? Let's see, I'm looking for a job. What's a good content pillar that we could talk about as far as that goes? I would maybe do something a little bit personal as well, too. Let's say maybe I'm mentoring and I'm passionate about bringing up young leaders. Maybe I do something volunteer in my community, right? Something that shows maybe I'm passionate about playing the baritone saxophone. I don't know what that thing is, right? But I would put a little bit of me into the equation as well, too. Again, in a professional, curated way, to come back out and kind of have those lanes that we're leaning in. Pick 3, create all of your topics balanced out somewhat between those 3. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then look at them every 90 days. Do they still feel right? Do you need to switch them up? A lot of times my content pillars stay the same, but I might get a little nichier or take a little different angle inside a content pillar every 90 days. So I think looking at those every 90 days is going to help you keep them fresh and make sure that you're angling in on the message and the audience that you want to. The next layer in this pizza of ingredients, pizza, are the types of posts. So we talked about why we're doing this. We talked about platforms. We talked about the pillars of what we're saying. The next thing we have to talk about is how we're saying it, okay, and planning that out. A bunch of different types of posts. These are just some of them. We have videos, we have photos, we can just write words. We have carousels, which can be pictures, just a slideshow of pictures, or actual text where we're talking to people. We can post memes, we can be funny, right? There's a variety of different types of posts. I want you to think about the different types of posts you can create. The reason that this is important is I have a formula and a schedule, because the only way I'm able to do this consistently is I know, okay, I need to do a video post about this topic on this day. I need to do a carousel post about this topic on this day, right? It gives me a plan and a formula to execute to. So for example, I'll explain to you what I do on LinkedIn. You can go look at my content and kind of see how this lays out. Now, I post 7 days a week on LinkedIn. That is insane. I am not recommending that you go from not posting or posting consistently to 7 days a week, but I want to give you an idea of the different types of posts, okay? I post videos twice a week, Tuesdays and Fridays. except for this Tuesday. So video is king on LinkedIn. Number one, LinkedIn wants to promote video. They want more video on LinkedIn, so they are going to show video to more people. Number two, there are not a lot of people on LinkedIn doing video versus Instagram Reels. And so your content stands out more when you do videos. It's harder to do, right? It absolutely is. And I don't think you should just set up the video camera, hit record, not look at it and post, right? You need to be strategic about it. But it is a very, very, very good medium for a lot of ways that we could talk about for a long time. So twice a week videos. I then do what I just call quote posts. And I started out with quote posts very early. Steal quote posts from me, everyone. If you take nothing away from this call, do quote posts. I find a quote. I put it there. I write words more about the quote, right? I do this every Thursday, every Sunday. You will see a quote post from me. I use Canva. I have a cute little design that I put the quote on in the attribute, right? It's little vibey, Liz vibes. About every 90 days, we change up what the vibes look like. I use a lot of the same quotes every quarter because not everybody sees a lot of the things, and I have different things to say about them. So super low effort, super easy way to engage, show people what you care about, and give you an opportunity to say something more. So steal my quote posts, okay? Everybody's doing a quote post once a week. I also then on Mondays do a fun post now. I post a meme, something funny. I did the Saved by the Bell workout video one day and people went nuts over it. I loved it too, so I love that. It's Monday. People want to have a little fun. My brand is a little lighthearted, so I do that on Mondays. On Wednesdays, some days I take that off. Some days I use that for a floater, and some days I do a carousel where I say something. I think last week I talked about my newsletter, put a picture of me, said, hey, let's be friends. Do you want to sign up for my newsletter? So Wednesday is kind of a floater day for me. And then Saturdays is very interesting because Saturdays has been one of the best days for me. And I fought this a very, very long time. Number one, I said, who uses LinkedIn on the weekends? A lot of us crazy people are on LinkedIn on the weekends, just so you know. And people aren't engaged in their day-to-day, right? They have time to kind of sit back and be on LinkedIn. And so I do a personal post, right? I don't do anything work-related. I share my feelings. I'm a little vulnerable. I talk about growing my business, imposter syndrome, all the things that we all feel, and people really relate to it, right? And so that's just an example for you how I sit down and plan out my week. Okay, I need 2 videos, 2 quotes. I need a personal post. I need something funny, and then maybe throw a floater in the middle of it. But understanding what type of content you're going to post on what day on a schedule is very, very helpful. Now, I don't know if I talk about this later, so I want to say this now because I am going to start going quicker, and you're going to see how fast Liz can talk. I don't recommend starting out 7 days a week. If you don't do video at all and you want to do video, I think once a month is a good first commitment. And once you can do that consistently for 2 or 3 months, go to once every 2 weeks, go to once a week, keep increasing the frequency after you see that you can sustain it, because it is a lot of work. You have to write a script, you have to write a post, you have to record it, you have to edit it. Video is more steps. But I do think for everything else, maybe you commit to posting twice a week outside of a video. Maybe you commit to posting once a week and 1 video if you really want to get into video. But I think the answer is that consistency is key and less is more. So do not take this as an example of you need to post 7 days a week starting off with on LinkedIn. So now we get into topics. So we have content pillars. The next thing that I do is I sit down and just start writing out different things I could talk about. So if my content pillar is getting shit done, maybe I'm talking about goal setting for the new year, and then all the different things I could talk about in goal setting. Spend some time just writing, brainstorming, and get them all in paper. And from there, these topics you can now plug into that schedule to those audiences that you talked about, right? You really need to create all these different pieces and then fill them in. So for example, I decided that I wanted to do a series the beginning of August on preparing for budget season, right? If you're in a healthy organization, the beginning of August, as a leader, you should be looking at where you're at, getting your team ready to get ready for budget season. And so I did a 5-part series on preparing your team for budget season, but I came up with that series by sitting down with my business partner and said, okay, what do we want to talk about? Well, we want to talk about first, okay, where are you at this year, right? Figuring out where you're at, where you're going to be, what you're going to get done, where you're not going to get done. That's a video topic. Okay, number 2. Well, we need to figure out what the team needs next year, right? So number 2, bring your leadership team in, figure out where they need, right? Second topic. Number 3, for me, I know I'm technology, right? So you have a lot of tech debt. A lot of leaders forget about that. It's not fun to upgrade your technology, to have to do all these database upgrades. So video number 3 idea was, hey, don't forget about tech debt, budgeting for annual maintenance and tech debt. By the way, it's the second best video that I have ever done. And who would have thought a budgeting video first, who thought the series would do well on technical debt? So anyways, it just goes to show you, if you're niche-y enough, things do work. And so as you can see, I came up with a topic, I came down with separate bullet points, and then from there, I create my content that I need to create based on, is it a quote, is it a video, is it something like that? I can't drink. Okay, so there's a lot of questions that I have not answered yet, but I do want to talk through a few things. Recording yourself is very hard. The number 1 tip I have is record yourself, write a script that you're not going to post, record yourself, watch it, write another script that you're not going to post, record yourself, watch it, write another script that you're not going to post, right? You have to get used to the process of recording yourself and sitting down. Molly, I can send you a link to a blooper reel. I do not get through a recording ever one time, right? And so you have to be okay with the process, with understanding that you're not going to say things the first time, right? That you're going to make a mistake, that you're going to just take a drink of water and dribble down the front of you while you're talking to people and move on, right? And so I think understanding that and just getting into that practice and repeating is the best way to get on camera. And so just put some reps in a room in front of your phone. I have a mobile filming guide on my website. And so if you want tips on the settings and everything you should use, put your email address in there, take all of that. All of those settings are in there for you. I definitely recommend checking those out as well too. As far as timing goes, people get very hung up on what day they should post, what time of day they should post, what the best time is. 2 things. Number 1, the best time is the time you're going to be consistently able to do it. Consistency beats fancy timing any day of the week. Okay. But then the second thing I want you to think about is, when is your audience using social media? I post very early in the morning before my executives get up and get to work, right? So they're checking their email, they're checking their socials. Liz is hopefully in their feeds. I also post at the end of the day sometimes. So 8, 9, 10 o'clock when people are at the end of their day. It's why my Saturday post does so well, right? Because people are around on Saturdays to read it. So again, consistency and creating good content, way more important than gaming an algorithm a specific time, anything like that. As far as planning goes, I recommend you having a plan and a schedule. I think it can be an Excel spreadsheet, but if you're going to post a quote post once a week on LinkedIn and a video once a month, I think you need to have that planned out in Excel that you're working off of and working through from a planning perspective. I have a schedule. I have different tools. If you guys want to get advanced, feel free to DM me. I can share all of those tools with you as well too. But the key to it is you can't wake up in the morning and say, what am I going to post on social media today, right? It should already probably be scheduled and ready to go live instead of you worrying about that content creation for the day. And then the last piece that I wanted to talk about, just high level, is metrics. And we kind of talked about that at the beginning of the call, right? There's a lot of numbers associated with social media, right? Nobody liked my post. Did anybody like my post? How many people liked? How many people commented? Nobody liked. This person got this many likes. This person got this many comments, all of the things, right? And so again, understanding your why here and what metrics matter to you is super important. And this is no different than business, right? In any business, we can get totally sidetracked with what numbers are important or what numbers matter. And so for me, I really try and focus on two things. I use LinkedIn as a lead funnel, which means I want to grow the number of people that are following me, because if people are following me, that means they find my content valuable, and I want to grow my community. So that is my number one LinkedIn metric. My number two LinkedIn metric, which technically isn't LinkedIn, is what Molly just said at the beginning of the call, right? How much money am I making off of the back end? I don't care who likes my posts. I'm making money. I support myself full time. My husband is in the business full time, right? So my magic number is the number in my bank account at the end of the day. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. This little LinkedIn influencer list came out recently. I told Molly my name was on it. Very flattered to see. There's a number, there's a specific rating that we've decided in the industry is the important one. And this is how everybody's now ranked on this spreadsheet. And I like the people that are doing this, right? This is things I told them directly too. My metrics directly go against that number being good for me. And so I had a good 36 hours where I was like, should I change how I'm playing the game? Liz likes to win. I can win, right? And I had to realize that that's not a number that matters to me. And so again, kind of circling back to where we started, right? It really is about getting your head in the game and understanding what's important. Likes, comments, sure, they're helpful, but at the end of the day, they don't necessarily lead to even necessarily a direct correlation of impressions and people that see your posts as well too. I have people that I help with their social media that have 10 times the following that I do, and I can get more impressions on a post because I think I have better quality content and a more curated audience. So sometimes less is more, right? Sometimes being more thoughtful with the people in the community you have is going to get you the results that you want at the end of the day. So at the end of the day, if you're looking for a new job, if you're looking to create an easier environment for your team to hire and recruit top talent, if you're looking to make more money and you're doing those things, you got to let go of how many people like your post, about who comments it. It's the wrong game, and you start focusing on the wrong things, which lead you down the wrong path. Wow, that was a lot, Molly. I went fast, but I did get it done with just a little bit of time to go. I hope I'm going to hit stop sharing because we're going to talk about accountability here for a second. But I hope as I take a breath, y'all found that helpful. And even though it was a lot of rapid fire information, you guys have some things that you can take and think about. Molly and I talked kind of, and we want to make this more of just a one and done thing. I'm a big fan of accountability. In fact, the reason that I started on video is because I started this little thing called Accountability Club and asked a whole bunch of strangers on LinkedIn to join me. And I said, hey, I want to start doing videos and you guys are going to hold me accountable. And so I think, again, accountability really is key. And so I've asked Molly if we can keep this rolling, and she agrees. So keep an eye on your email. She's going to create a special little community for us within Athena's Council where we can kind of talk about these things, hold each other accountable, let the other people know what they missed out on, and create a little bit of FOMO there for them as well too. But what I want you guys to do is take this away, right? Think about it. What platform do you want to start on? What are your content pillars? How often do you think you want to post? Come up with your plan, right? Is that one video? Notice how I keep saying video, y'all. or one quote post, whatever that is. But let's all commit to each other in that new community that Molly has. I also encourage us all to connect on LinkedIn. If we're not connected, if y'all aren't connected to me, go find me. I'm the Liz Short on LinkedIn. And definitely, if you have any questions, how any of this applies to you specifically, shoot me a DM over there on LinkedIn. But let's find each other. Let's support each other. Let's comment on each other. And one of the things that I really encourage you guys to do is understand how the algorithm works, right? And so the reason that you want to comment, or I want you to message me or DM me, is because if you message me or DM me, I'm going to show up in your algorithm more. My videos are going to pop up more. So if someone connects to you, you show up in their algorithm more for 2 weeks. If someone messages back and forth with you, you show up in their algorithm more for 2 weeks. If someone engages with your posts, you show up in their algorithm more for 2 weeks. And so understanding how, if you're looking for a job or if you're targeting someone, my best advice is find some content that they create and shoot them a little message that says, oh my gosh, love that video you just did. Love that post you just did. This is what I loved about it. I have never sent a message like that and had someone not respond back to me. And then my little face and my little video show up in their algorithm more, which helps build that connection. And so let's find each other on LinkedIn. If somebody puts out some content that you like, shoot them a DM and let them know what you like. First of all, it feels so good to have someone say, I saw what you did, because it feels so lonely out here. I will tell you, you are not alone if you feel alone. We are all out here alone together. And so if you need some support, DM me, but let's connect with each other. And then Molly, I think we should keep this going into the new year, right? Like outside of it, maybe we get back together. Maybe we get some questions specifically from the group on how to dive in deeper, if it's on video, if it's on anything. But I'd love to get back together and keep the conversation going, if that's all right with everybody as well too in the future.
Definitely. We're going to set up in Athena's Council an area in the platform where we'll have the recording of this session, and we'll have like steps, concrete steps to a challenge. So, for example, the first one may be, by the end of next week, have your goal in mind. Have your, what is it that you want to do with a personal brand? What do you want to achieve? So in a year from now, we can see, did this personal branding exercise help you get to your goal? And then after the goal, we'll have the next step in the community challenge, which would be,
plan. What's your plan?
What's your plan? What platform are you going to use? And if we all do this together, then we've got that accountability that Liz is talking about, but we also have the benefit of everybody's perspectives, which I think could be so valuable. Exactly.
I love it. You're the best. If you guys, so I also, Jill, do I have your address? Because I have bracelets now. So you need to DM me. And also, guys, find me on LinkedIn, shoot me your address. I'll send you Get Shit Done stickers and Get Shit Done bracelets. It's kind of my motto. Did take me a year out of corporate America to find out I can say shit if I want to for my own company. But I feel like unofficially, that's what we all do behind the scenes. So I think,
for the record, I have mine on my computer and I look at it every day and I'm like, gotta get shit done. Okay.
I love it. But again, a great thing about personal branding, right? Do you know how I was so close to not doing Get Shit Done stickers, and best thing I ever did for my personal brand. So, I think, Molly, if I could just say anything, it's that literally, if I can do this, you guys can do it. And there's so much value in just having this much of a consistent online presence right now on LinkedIn, because it's such an underutilized platform. And last but not least, the boys are doing it, and I'm sick of listening to them. So please come join the party, ladies. We need more strong female voices, because we are the ones that are out there getting shit done.
100%.
That's right. I love it. Let's do it.
Christina, I thought about whenever you brought up the imposter syndrome, you know, and I struggle with that all the time, and it holds me back every day. And but something that really does kind of give me confidence and help me think, you know, I could do this, is when I watch these bros on LinkedIn saying yet again the most beige BS, you know, non-opinion. Basically, they just share each other's opinions. I feel emboldened.
It's true. It's a lot of the same podcast over and over and over again. You know what I mean? And sure, that's great, but I think, you know, I think there's a lot of room, and I think I've never met anyone who doesn't have imposter syndrome, and so for me, that's somewhat encouraging. I also, so like, I like to talk about the cringe factor a lot because I think that's really what's hard too. Right? Like, I don't want people like, ooh, that's what I look like. That's what I sound like. That's what I said. What are people going to think? That's how I thought a video should look. That's how I thought a post should look. And some of the best advice I got early on was from someone who was super successful. And they're like, well, yeah, I look back at the beginning and I cringe, but like, if I didn't, I wouldn't have gotten any better. And for me, I was like, oh, that's true. Like, if you're not looking back on like how you used to be, like, you're not growing. And I think like my leadership journey, right? Like, I think of my very first role as a manager and I'm like, oh my God, like if they interviewed, I talk about being like a wonderful leader now and how I try to be the best leader. And if like my first employees heard me say that, they'd be like, that is not the experience that I had. You know what I mean? But that's because I've grown and I've gotten so much better. And so I think we all probably have experiences like that, right? And it really is the same on this journey of putting yourself out there. What you realize is, honestly, people really, the people that love you, and the people that don't care really just don't care. You know, now that's especially true on LinkedIn, which I think is why it's a really great platform to start from. But embrace the cringe. Like, you got to be cringy. I'm starting YouTube right now. I will let you guys all know. You can watch me be cringy over there because I'm going to be cringy because I don't know what I'm doing. And, you know, I think that's part of the journey.
Thank you, Liz. Does anybody have any questions before we wrap it up?
Let me know. Feel free to DM me if you have any detailed or specific questions, guys. Happy to answer anything that you have. And like I said, come join the party. The water's great.
Thank you, Liz.
Molly, thanks so much. I had a great time. I really appreciate this opportunity and so happy to